Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I am so glad you joined me. Good morning, my beloved kings and queens. My name is Joyce McTeer, and I am the owner and operator of LaJoytra Creation Designs. All right, y'all. So this video that I am going to talk about, in this video, I'm going to talk about pretty much my go-to copper wire, the gauges of copper wire that I use to make and create some of my earrings, my bracelets, and all that good stuff. And I also have, which is, I guess you could say, a bonus, I'm going to show y'all some pliers that I use to cut my wire. Okay, I'm also going to show y'all some dowels that you can get from the Dollar Tree. You can get these dowels from Walmart that you can use to mold and bend your wire the way you would like, so that you can make your jewelry. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get right on into this here video. So the very first gauge of wire that I go to, my go-to gauge wire, is 20 gauge wire. This is 20 gauge wire, and this is made by Ben Crate. It's permanently colored wire, copper wire. It is, you get 11 yards, and it is 20 gauge wire. This wire, I use this wire to do a lot of my wrapping when I'm doing my pendants, when I'm wire wrapping my pendants, or when I'm adding on my beads, adding my beads onto my copper wire. My go-to is 20 gauge wire. Okay. The next wire that I choose to use is 18 gauge. I don't have any of that in the front of me right now, but you can get 18 gauge wire from, I ordered that one from Amazon. You can get 18 gauge wire from the Home Depot. You can also get it, you can also order it online through Amazon. Okay, that's my next go-to piece. Wait a minute, I have a piece right here. I just don't have the pack. This is a piece of 18 gauge wire. I use this wire to make many different things. As a matter of fact, I believe the other day I did a video showing y'all the a ring that I created using 18 gauge and 20 gauge together. And so this is my next go-to copper wire that I go to when I'm making and creating items. 18 gauge wire. Okay. My next go-to is 10 gauge. Wait a minute, let me see. I'm looking for, okay. It's 10 gauge wire. Now this right here, well, let me back it up a little bit. When I first started making copper jewelry, I ordered a number of different types of wire that I thought that would be better suited for me. Now, copper wire, when the smaller the gauge, the thicker the wire. Okay, now this is 10 gauge wire. Now, whenever you decide to do 10 gauge, 16 gauge, 12 gauge, or 14 gauge, because I am going to show you some 14 gauge, you will need some special cutters in order to cut the wire, okay? This wire is really hard and it's really stiff, but it's copper all the way through. You can make some awesome and wonderful projects with 10 gauge copper wire. Now, I did have some 12 gauge copper wire, which I like, but my favorite out of all the gauges is 10 gauge, 20 gauge, 18 gauge, and 14 gauge. Now, I'm going to show y'all some 14 gauge. Now, all of this here is 10 gauge wire, okay? And I also ordered these from Amazon. Amazon has all of this as far as the different gauges of wire, okay? So I also ordered this from Amazon. All right. My next gauge of wire that I love to use, and I use this wire, and I'm going to tell y'all a secret. This is my gauge wire when I make my pendants and when I make my my chokers. This is 14 gauge wire. 14 gauge wire. Now on the spool you get a lot. I think it's $20 per spool, but I'm telling you it's well worth it, because with copper wire and like sterling silver wire, you spend, to me it makes more sense to buy it. I guess you could buy it in bulk when you can. But this is 14 gauge wire, and I'm going to show y'all my tool that I use to cut these wires, okay? Now, this is how 14 gauge copper wire looks. It's actually a little bit, you know, a couple more gauges bigger than the 18 gauge. But you can get the 12 gauge. 12 gauge is also good, but this 14 for some reason is my go-to, okay? So I'm going to show y'all my tool that I use when I'm cutting my wire. And I had my husband, when I first really started getting into this, I had my husband go out, and my husband found some pliers for me, some cutters for me. Excuse my nose, y'all. You have to have special cutters when you're making copper wire. You also have to have some round nose pliers to bend it. But I'm going to share a secret with y'all and show y'all some things that I use to mold and bend my wire with, okay? So these are the pliers right here, and this is the name of them, okay? Heavy duty. When I say heavy duty, I think these was like 14 or something like that. I think they were like 14 or $15, but I'm gonna tell y'all something. They make this process really awesome. Whenever you're dealing with copper wire, you want to make sure that that the process as far as cutting the wire, you want it to be a great process, okay? So this is some 10 gauge that I have right here. I'm going to show y'all how these cut, okay? These babies cut wonderful. So you take these and you just go, see how that cut off? Boom, just like that. Right off. Sweet, okay? Same thing for this 14 gauge. Cut it just like that, okay? Now I'm going to show y'all some dowels that I use when I'm making my jump rings, because a lot of times I use my jump rings to connect things. I just go to my wooden dowels. Y'all. Okay, y'all, so I am back. All right, I had to go get this one right here. Now, these are my dowels that I use when I'm making, and as a matter of fact, I was looking for one more. It's a smaller one that I get from the Dollar Tree when I'm wrapping my my copper wire, when I'm using to make my shapes or a circle or anything like that. These are the dowels that I go to do that. I'm going to show y'all really quick how to make some jump rings. For those of you who use copper wire on a regular, y'all, I'm sure y'all already know how to do this, but this is for the people, for those of you who are just getting started. Now I'm just cutting a couple pieces so I can show you. Excuse my nose, y'all. Okay, y'all. So whenever you are making a project, this is just my go-to. This is just how I do things. Now, everybody that makes copper wire, they do things differently, but this is just my process. So I make my jump rings. This is the 14 gauge, and I just take my dowel. And see, the 14 is pretty easy for you to mold and bend. And I just wrap it around my dowel, just like this. Okay, I take it off. I take my beautiful colors, y'all. I was so excited when I got these cutters. And I just snip it, just like that. Snip it, and then snip it one more time. And then I got two jump rings. Two jump rings. It is just that easy, y'all. Hold on, y'all. My thing was trying to fall on me. And then you do the same thing with, if you want bigger jump rings, you can take this big one. Now this dowel here I got from Walmart. For those of you who may ask, I got this from Walmart. I don't know the actual size of this. It came in a pack. It had 3 of them in a pack. I don't have my ruler to tell you the actual size, but I'm sure it's about either a 1/2 inch. Let me see. Yeah, I don't have my ruler in front of me, but they sell these, okay? And it's about, I can tell you, it's about 12 inches long. It has a nice, okay, as you, hope you can see that. And you do the same thing, and you can do this with any type of copper wire that you choose to use. Okay. You get a perfect circle, and you just cut your ends. Actually, you can take these and cut just like that. That'll go through both of those pieces. And here you have it. And you got some perfect jump rings, okay? So like I said, you can do it. You can use, but like I said, this here is my go-to. This is what I choose to use when I'm making and creating jewelry for my, you know, my jewelry. And these items right here, y'all, it's the best thing ever. I have some other pliers. I may come back to you all to show you. Oh, I got some flat nose pliers that I use also. I don't know where those are, but I just wanted to come to you all to show you my go-to wire that I use, and these are other extra things that you will need, so it'll make the process so much easier, okay? So with that being said, I want to take the time out to say thank you. Please make sure before you leave the video that you give this video a thumbs up, like, and share. I greatly appreciate all your time and for taking out the time to view and listen to this here video. Have a wonderful and awesome weekend, my beloved kings and queens. And until the next one, peace and blessings. And if you have a question about anything here, go ahead, write it down write it down, and I will get back to you all. Have a wonderful and awesome day and a wonderful weekend, my beloved kings and queens. Until the next video, peace and blessings. See ya.